Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the second day of the Singapore FinTech Festival 2025. And I have the pleasure and honor to have with me today Wei Chai, ESG analyst at Fidelity International, based here in Singapore, with whom we are talking about AI in ESG investing. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and looking forward to talk about how I use AI in my everyday and how we can use it for ESG investing, of course.
Great. So in the last few years, new technologies and in particular AI are have been getting more and more space in portfolio management, and you work really at the intersection of data science, if we can call it this way, and ESG analysis. How the integration of these new technologies, and in particular artificial intelligence, has changed the way you and your team approach sustainability research? Can you tell us more about this?
Yeah, I think the main thing for the past few years is we have seen kind of an increase in disclosure from all of the corporates, mainly from investors' pressure, like asking corporates to disclose more, as well as there's a lot more regulation about what you need to disclose. But with an increased disclosure, it also means that as ESG analysts, we've got to sift through a lot of documents, a lot of different information that a lot of times are kind of scattered across multiple documents or different websites. So with AI, I think the main thing that is not so much how dealing with noisy data, but making us more efficient. Like I can query and use AI to get them to collate all the information from multiple documents together into one single output. I think that just makes it a lot more efficient and a lot easier to kind of digest what the company has done with regards to their ESG credentials. And I think us being more efficient just means that we are able to kind of simplify the information for our portfolio managers or our other analysts that do not look at ESG data all the time and might not be as familiar with all the different reports and standards. So we can kind of compile them together, we can summarize it, and then we can use AI to kind of make it easier for us to do that.
Fantastic. So we can talk about an increase of definitely efficiency and also precision for the ESG analysis. Thank you very much. When we talk about artificial intelligence, one of the critics that we may have is that it can introduce biases or opacity. And this morning we had also another interesting panel, and we touched upon the issue regarding consistency of data that you just mentioned, and availability of data. Since all these, there is as you were saying before, also these data which are scattered around and which widely varies across different not only issues but also geographies, and you are a global asset manager, so you are absolutely touched by these. How do you ensure that AI insights remain explainable, ethically sound, and robust despite all those asymmetries?
Yeah. I think that's a good question. So I think it is not just an ESG investing issue, right? It is with general usage of all these AI and ChatGPT and Copilot or whatever, which is you need to really make sure that the bot is not hallucinating information out of nowhere. And the good thing is a lot of the kind of AI that we use now, they have links to where they got the data. So a lot of times we use it to kind of just validate the information that we have. But going back to my first point, I think we are not at a stage yet where we use these AI tools to generate the kind of outcome or the final view for us. We are a lot more using them to kind of aggregate all the information, tell us everything that we need to know, show us where they got all the data from. And then once you have everything in one place, you can use those information to make our own like analysis and decision. And I think right now that's where I see a lot of our analysts and people in my team have been using. Especially I think we have to kind of sift through a lot of regulation, a lot of news cycles about new disclosure, new reports that have come out. So using all these tools to kind of make sure that you are not out of the loop has been very helpful. And to give an example that we use internally, so at Fidelity, we have our own ESG ratings, right? That traditionally this has been done by our analysts. Like they look into the company sustainability report and then they fill in a template of questionnaire. What we're trying to do now internally is to get AI to kind of populate the template based on whatever data is publicly available. So it saves us a lot of time. It saves the analyst a lot of time rather than sifting through all the documents and answering the questions. Individually, they are able to upload a template, get it populated, and then from there, we will kind of validate and make sure that the information is accurate, and then how we're going to use it in our investment decision is kind of still up to us. So that's how it kind of balance the usage.
Fantastic. So there's still a great room for, of course, the human and its qualitative analysis, while AI is used as an intelligent assistant. Let's put it this way.
Yeah, I think so. But I think we are kind of at this point, but we can do a lot more. Like, for example, for stewardship and engagement, a lot of times we are interested in knowing how much a company has improved over time, whether they have made progress over time. Traditionally, before all this, what we'll do is basically just open up 4 to 5 PDFs from all the different sustainability report across the years, and then we try to find the relevant section and then try to extract it and compare it manually. But I think with what we're trying to do with AI is we can basically ask it to analyze all these documents and try to generate like a trend analysis or any progress report that they can kind of infer from what the company has disclosed over the years. I think that makes it a lot more efficient, and also it gives us a good kind of initial view of where the company sits, what they have disclosed, and then after that we can kind of dig into where we are most interested in. So this is the same as how our fundamental analysts, so these are analysts who look at the company fundamentals to decide whether we should invest in them, use AI as well. A lot of times, if you are looking at a brand new company, they will get like ChatGPT or a bot to kind of give you a quick summary of what a company does, all of the information about the company, and then after that they can look into where they are most interested in and then dig deeper into those. So that's how we kind of use it as well.
Thanks a lot. I'm happy that you talked about engagement and stewardship, because I think that one of the key feature and responsibility of asset managers today is really the engagement with the investee companies. Can you tell us an example of engagement process with a company when the help of AI was instrumental to start this process, or to get a better kind of engagement with the company itself?
Yeah, so when we engage with companies, I think what we try to avoid when we talk to companies is to avoid an information gathering session. Because what we want to avoid is basically companies telling us what they have already disclosed in their report, because these are things that we can see ourselves, right? So being very prepared for your engagement with a company is definitely very crucial, because once you kind of look through what they have disclosed and look at all their goals and targets, you can question them and ask them, how do you plan to achieve that target? What is your plan for the future? So how we use kind of AI is basically helping us in that initial research process, which is trying to gathering all the information about their company so that we can be as prepared as possible when we go into the engagement. Then of course other things like transcribing the meeting minutes with the companies. Now that there's a lot of tools that can help you do that very easily, it makes it allow us to be more focused on kind of having a proper discussion with the corporate rather than making it more like a question and answer session with the company. And I think all this just makes the interaction with the company a lot more interactive. Like they are more open to talk about what they plan to do, some of the challenges they might face. These are kind of things that might not always be readily available in what they have disclosed. So it gives you a better sense of what the company is doing. So yeah, I think in one sentence, it basically makes the research process a lot easier for us. But because of that, we are able to maybe engage with more corporates or have better and deeper discussions with the corporates because we have done our due diligence and research before the engagement, basically.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. So we are getting toward the end of our chat. I would like to know what you think about the future and the role of new technologies, and in particular AI in portfolio management. What do you think will be the role of those new technologies? What do you think will be the role in the future of ESG analysts, and how do you see AI transforming portfolio management in general?
Yeah, I think the way I see it for ESG analysts or ESG roles across the industry, not just asset management, but in general, is becoming more and more data driven. Partly because a lot more corporates are either required to disclose information or they are volunteering to disclose their information. And then becoming more data driven means that you need to be, your work becomes a lot more research intensive. You gotta really look into all the fine details, and sometimes you might even need to look into like technical details of all the standards and regulation out there to become like a well-informed ESG analyst. So basically, I think you might be going down a more specialist route rather than becoming a generalist in ESG. So AI really can help you to have a good understanding of all these standards and regulation and all the kind of status of all these kind of progress out there. It will help you better aggregate all the information together. It makes you being able to understand more topics. And the data-driven approach, I mean, in my day-to-day, I deal with a lot of like very large data sets that sometimes I struggle to deal with on Excel. But with like AI, it can help you to write code or build VBA tools, both of which I've done in my day-to-day. It just makes the analyzing the data set a lot easier. And then from there, you can get better insight. So I think that's where kind of the future is, where with more disclosure means more data that's out there. It means you need to find better ways to kind of interpret the data that's out there.
But still, the qualitative human judgment will be fundamental.
Of course. I think once you get all the kind of statistics and stuff, you still need to kind of have a judgment. So it's very similar to fundamental research for companies, right? You look at all the financial statements, but you're still the one making a buy or sell rating on the company. So I think it's the same for ESG, where you have to really look at everything that the company is doing, and also sometimes even look into how it ties in with like their financial statements and their business operations outside of ESG, and then you tie them together. That's kind of where I think as ESG analysts you have the most value add, because you are the expert in ESG, right? But at the same time, you need to understand companies are companies, they need to operate for their own business or whatever. So it's having them combined together and being able to kind of analyze it together will be, I think, the most helpful to everyone.
Thanks a lot. So, Minwei, it was a pleasure to having with you today. Thank you very much for your insights.
Thank you. Thanks for having me at your pavilion. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.